What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Blazers Uprise Live here on a Monday night. This is the first stream of June, what's going to be a very important June for both the Trailblazers and the NBA. We got the finals starting next Thursday, so next stream we will be able to talk about that. And the draft is almost here. It's less than a month. The draft will be taking place on June 26th and June 27th, so we got a ton of draft talk today. We're going to talk about the lack of workouts regarding the Portland Trailblazers. We're going to talk about the Blazers potentially trading up for Donovan Clingan. What might that look like, and would that be a mistake? We're going to talk about the 14th pick. We're going to talk about the draft time being officially announced. It's on 2 days this year. And I'm also going to discuss some risers and fallers and see if Eric has any. But first, we got to see how Eric's doing, chat. Eric, how's it going?
Oh, not too bad. How about you, Tori?
It's good. It's good. I spent some time with my family. Stream going live a little bit late because of that, but got to get time in for the fam, and now I'm getting time in with the chat, the cult, the Blazers Uprise cult over here. So if you cultists out there want merch, it's below. It would make my day. We got hats, we got shirts, we got all sorts of stuff that you can get your hands on. Those sweatshirts look good. I need me one. I keep forgetting to order. Every stream I'm like, oh, I need one. And then I forget after the stream, honestly. But man, Eric, I'm looking forward to what we have to talk about today. First, I know this is a topic you wanted to talk about, but we kind of talked about last stream. You want to get into finals predictions real quick?
Yeah, sure. So Dallas versus Boston. I think it's a really good matchup. Pretty excited for the series to start. Kind of bummer that there's been a week in between it. But, I think it's going to be a good matchup. And, I'm on record as saying I think Dallas is going to win.
Yeah, this is just fascinating to see if Boston can finally get it done. But the momentum is with Dallas. I took the Celtics before the playoffs. I'm not as confident in that pick in this series as well, but I didn't think I would predict the finals right going with Boston and Dallas. But for those of you that watched our playoff predictions before the postseason, right, you can go back and find them and see what my Western Conference Finals was. I was cooking a little bit. So I need to put a prediction on the record right now because I've been on one. We'll see if my preseason predictions were better than my predictions right now, because I'm going to flip that prediction. I'm going to go Mavs in 6. Mavs in 6. I think Luka is going to be the best player in this series, and that goes a long way. And I think Dallas's role players are up to the task. I think Derrick Jones Jr. is a good body to throw against either Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown. And then the front court, that's going to be a very fun battle. I'm looking forward to the matchups. I'm looking forward to the star power. I'm looking forward to the storylines. This is going to be an extremely fun NBA Finals. And we'll see if Dallas can get it done. We'll see if Luka can catapult his name into best player in the league talks, because you win a ring if you're Luka this year and doing some of the stuff he's done in the postseason. It's going to be hard to deny him belonging in that conversation. You know, he has tough names to beat out with Jokic, Giannis. Hopefully he's healthier next season. But this is a great opportunity for Luka to put his stamp on the league. You know, everybody's looking at Anthony Edwards as the new face of the NBA. Some people adorned him as after that second round beating of the Denver Nuggets, but Luka put a stop to that. And before Anthony Edwards, the next face of the league was supposed to be Luka Doncic. Maybe it will be. We're going to find out with this NBA Finals. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, I think people anoint the next face a little too early. I mean, Jokic isn't that old, and he won a title that last year too. But yeah, I don't know. Taylor says Celtics been by far the best team in the league all season, which is true. I don't know why Dallas is the trendy pick. It's not trendy. I mean, Boston struggled with a team, even though they swept them. You could argue they should have been down 1-3 in that series. And they found a way to win, so you got to give them credit. But it's not like they're clicking on all cylinders right now. I feel like Dallas is.
Yeah, chat's wondering who the X Factor is? I think the X Factor is PJ Washington for Dallas. If he can make shots, if he can come up with big plays, that's going to mean a lot. I was tempted to say, Gafford, Lively, but I feel like you know what you're going to get out of those guys. Whereas PJ Washington, a little bit more volatile. But when he's playing well, this Dallas team is very, very good and very hard to beat. When he's camping in the corner, making threes, when the defense collapses on Luka, because, listen, if you collapse on Luka, you also got to collapse on Lively or Gafford. Because if you don't, that's just a lob over the top of the defense. So Luka's and Kyrie's drives open up a ton of corner threes for PJ Washington. So he's my X factor to this series. He has to knock down those shots.
Yeah, obviously Porzingis' health is a pretty big factor in this series. If he's healthy, that is someone who can draw Lively and Gafford out of the paint and open that up. So that might be an X factor. But I think it's Drew Holiday, because he hasn't had the greatest playoffs, but we know he's capable of doing a lot. Will he be able to shut down one of Luka or Kyrie, or at least not let them go off? If he can kind of neutralize one of those two and give them anything offensively, I think Boston has a pretty big advantage there.
Yep. We're going to break down Game 1 Thursday. Looking forward to that. But now we get into the draft talk, man. And I love draft talk this time of year, especially this year's draft, with how much both of us and our community has paid attention to prospects in this year's draft. So I really enjoy reading chat's thoughts on this. So any player we talk about, leave your thoughts in the chat. Just because we don't read off a ton of chat messages doesn't mean we don't read them while we're streaming. So participate in that live chat. First topic of business, draft times. And I asked Eric before the stream, I was like, you saw that they announced draft times? And he had 2 words. One was a letter, and the second word was that. Okay? So can you put 2 and 2 together, chat? Eric, what are your thoughts?
Let
me actually say the times. Let me say the times, okay? For those of you who don't know, and this is going to be Pacific time because West Coast is the best coast. 5 p.m. Pacific time for round 1 on Wednesday, June 26th.
Fine, good.
Thursday, second round on June 27th. Start time, 1 p.m. Pacific time.
Stupid, man.
Yeah, so...
This is the exact crap I was worried about when they frickin' split it up into 2 days. Not even the NFL's dumb enough to do it that early in the day. Like,
yeah, and also they do it going into a weekend. Isn't round 1 Thursday, so then round 2's Friday, round 2 through 4 is Friday. It's a little bit later. And then rounds 5 through 7, or is it 4 through 7? I don't know. Is on a Saturday at least. So that makes sense. But this, middle of your workday, Eric, are you even going to be able to be there for the second round?
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't have vacation time anymore, so I don't know. That's a bummer, dude. I'm so mad.
Yeah, I think you're going to get sick around that time. I'll get sick just to we'll hit, play basketball or hang out or something, and I'll pass it on to you, okay? I don't know. We got to get you sick or something. We got to get you for that second round. We got to get you with that celebratory Auric Chomsky reaction.
Alex will also say your driveway is covered in ice.
Yeah, pollinating there. It'll be 90 degrees.
Yeah, this is on a Thursday. It's not Saturday. Yeah. It's Thursday. It feels like the NBA said, we know no one watches the second round, so we're just going to make it so no one cares about it at all now. Like, it's so stupid, dude. Like,
it's weird. Part of me wonders if the move to the second round, or the move to a 2-day draft, had something to do with Bronny, right? And maybe that's me being a little bit too cynical, but part of me wonders if the NBA wanted the drama about, is Bronny going to get taken in the second round and where is he going to get drafted for longer than, a few minutes, right? Because the draft in previous years always segues straight into the second round. Now you're going to have approximately 16, 17 hours before the second round starts after the end of the first. So that's going to be some time for speculation and this and that. But I just don't understand why they couldn't have just made it later. Just scheduling stuff with the NBA this offseason made no sense. Yeah, because not only do you have the draft lottery on Mother's Day, which made no freaking sense. They moved it to a Sunday when it was always a Thursday or something. Tuesday, always a weekday in the evening. They moved it to Mother's Day at 12 p.m., which was just ridiculous. But not only that, it's the draft day, the second round of the draft is a Thursday. They've always had the draft, the entire draft, on a Thursday, starting later than that and gotten in 2 rounds, right? Now they only have 1 round to get in on a Thursday, and they push it earlier. It doesn't make sense. So I don't know exactly what the plan's going to be. Maybe I'll solo stream it, but that'll just be kind of weird, especially if I'm updating graphics, because I rely on Eric a lot when I'm just, updating selections and stuff. The good news is this layoff time will allow me to prep that stuff for the second round, and we'll just have 2 separate streams. But man, it's rough. It's rough. So I don't know exactly what we do for that second round. Hopefully you can figure something out.
Yeah, I might be able to ask my boss if I can leave early.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. Maybe bribe him. Maybe
it's
the
just
chat.
Stupid. Why do I have to do that though? Why, NBA? Why are you so dumb? This makes no sense, dude. The people that you have a group of people that would have watched it no matter what time it was on, as long as it wasn't in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
and you put it in a time where now not everyone can watch it that wants to watch it for the most part. And I know some people work at night, so I'm not saying there's a perfect time to have it, but all sports for the most part are in the evening, and events are in the evening, not in the middle of the day.
Especially TV coverage, because what are these talk shows that would be on at 1 p.m. Pacific? What are they going to talk about this time of year? There's no football. What, minicamps, OTAs? Like, they'll find a way to talk about that because you can always find a way to talk about the NFL. But, baseball, these talk shows don't want to talk about baseball until after the All-Star break. They'll talk a little bit about the deadline, and then once playoffs roll around, then they'll start talking about it. So they'd be talking about the draft anyway. They would maybe get people intrigued enough to watch the second round that maybe watch the second round if they're hanging out watching these talk shows. And then the diehards like us work for you. Obviously, just brutal timing there. Doesn't make sense. The NBA needs to schedule things better next offseason. No lottery on Mother's Day, and just if you're going to have a 2-day draft, start the second round later. The second round's going to go quicker than the first round. You have only 28 picks because 2 got forfeited, and I think the timer's a little bit quicker. Not sure, but so frustrating draft time. But I'll be here at the very least to bring you the second round, and we'll be here to bring you guys the first round. Now, if the Blazers had no picks, it maybe wouldn't sting as much, but we enjoy streaming the second round anyway.
No, it would sting for me no matter.
Yeah, for sure.
Every second round pick or no second round picks.
But man, the start of the stream, the Blazers got 34 and 40. We'll see if they move either one of those, but you're going into that stream with a lot of anticipation. So we'll see what we can figure out.
I mean, the second round doesn't even have as much time between picks. Or are they changing that this year?
They're extending it a bit.
But it's not as long as the first round, I still don't think, right?
Yeah, I don't remember.
So it's going to go way faster.
It's probably going to take... They'll probably find a way to stretch it to 2.5 hours. Because they find a way to stretch out anything.
So it's going to end at 3:30? That's so dumb.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird, bro. Gray, that's not correct this year. That was last year.
And Gray, why do people do this? It's so dumb. Am I visible? Did I get shadow banned? Come on, dude.
If you were, nobody would see it. Also, why would we shadow ban you? You've hung around through all your Dame criticism, and you're still here, right? What? Just, come on. Let's have a little bit of common sense here. Anyway, the draft is at 8 Eastern time on Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific for the first round. Wednesday, June 26th, and then Thursday, June 27th, 1 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. So different time for round 2, which is on a different day now. Anyway, Eric, there's been a little bit of a lack of workouts. Only 3 draft workout sessions for the Blazers so far. Kind of strange, given that they have the 7th, 14th, 34th, and 40th picks. They've worked out some guys for those second rounders. They've worked out 3 players for the 14th pick. Jalen Tyson, he might be a second rounder. A lot of draft boards still have him as a second rounder. I think if the Blazers get him, they'd have to take him at 14. I think that's his proper range. But Jalen Tyson, Khalil Ware, and then there's somebody else that worked out that's in that range. Who was the other top guy that the Blazers worked out that I'm forgetting, chat? Or Eric?
Who'd you say?
Ware, Tyson, and there's somebody else that I'm blanking on.
Tyler Smith.
Tyler Smith, yeah. Tyler Smith. Although he could fall to the second, but he's kind of the same as Jalen Tyson, where I could see the Blazers taking him 14. Not a single guy has worked out for the 7th overall pick. Eric, is that weird? Or is it still too early to think about that?
Well, we went through this last year. They weren't bringing in any guys. They brought in Scoot. They brought in Brandon Miller. They brought in the Thompson twins. I think that was it for pick 3, right? And then everyone else was fringe second round undrafted guys. And we're like, well, they're obviously trading 23, right? Because they're not bringing in anyone for workouts. They didn't have Chris Murray in for a workout. So yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. Like, so I forget who it was. I think it was Hyken. There was the Portland media was all talking about, like, someone posted I think it was Holdall posted something that was like, just because a player works out for a team doesn't mean that they're interested in him or that they're going to draft him. So don't go too crazy. And then Hyken responded by saying, but Portland has a history of drafting players they worked out for them, and then they also get a profile on a player and add that to their profile when they work out and get some information on players, not just for this draft, but in the future if you're going to trade for them or sign them, 4 or 5 years down the road. So it's kind of weird if they just don't do any workouts for some of these guys at all. And I don't know, man. This organization doesn't make sense to me, Tori.
Yeah, so, the no workout for Chris Murray thing has me, I don't know, maybe a little bit worried that they're just going to be weird about this pick. I mean, it's the 7th overall pick in a draft with no consensus. You absolutely have to work out players for that, and it could be some of these players are working out for some of the higher picks, right? You got Houston, Washington, I'm blanking on who has the 4th pick, but San Antonio, right? A lot of players would probably love to go there and play with Wemby. They got the 4th and 8th pick, so that's a destination, and maybe they're going to filter through Portland a little bit later in this process. I'm not keeping track of workouts that heavily for other teams, just paying attention to what Portland's doing here, so I don't know. But you definitely got to do your due diligence, and the fact that they didn't work out anyone for the 23rd pick last year implied to us last year that, they're going to trade the pick. They're not working out players for this pick. And then they just draft Chris Murray and say, we like him. And in my opinion, it was clearly the wrong pick. Clearly the wrong pick at the time, and I still feel the exact same way right now. So I'm interested to see, interviews with some of these top prospects at Portland Trailblazer workout. And I'm just interested to see who they actually work out. I don't expect Stephon Castle to work out. I don't expect Zachary Ricochet to work out here. I don't expect Alex Sarr to work out here. And, a Rob Dillingham, any guards, maybe not. But everyone else, Ron Holland, Matas Buzelis, T-John Salon, any other forward you can name, Cody Williams, that might go in the top 10, the Blazers should 100% be working out, and it would be strange if they didn't work out all those guys. So we'll have to wait and see, but it is something to pay attention to. I feel like tomorrow they're going to work out like 3 of those 4 guys I just named or something. It's going to be like this was a moot point to begin with, but it does feel like it's a little bit far into this process to not have worked out a single guy for that 7th pick.
I mean, the draft is 3 weeks from Wednesday, so we're kind of running out of time, right? Like you said, that still could happen, but just seems like there's no sense of urgency to do these workouts or anything.
You still got to work out guys for the 2nd round picks. You still got to work out guys for the 14th picks. The 14th pick. Dodiet, Jurisic, Keyshawn George. There's a number of guys that you can work out for that 14th pick that they haven't yet. So when are they going to do that? I don't know. Hopefully they ratchet up workouts. Like, once again, not reading too much into this. It's just a little interesting to note.
Yeah. So Gray says maybe if you work out someone in the top 3, it would telegraph a deal there and make it the 7th pick. There, like Tori just said, there's only 2 consensus right now, top 2 picks, and that's Ricochet, who's, I believe, still playing overseas and not doing workouts. Same with Salon. And then Alex Sarr is not going to come here and work out because he's not falling to 7. So, and the Blazers went and saw him play in person in the NBL. So, They got a bit of an up close look at him anyway. Maybe the G League guys, there was some video or something that showed Blazer scouts in a practice of the G League. Maybe they feel like they have a good feel for those guys already, but
I mean, the whole G League Ignite thing was so dysfunctional, though. Like, you should want to run these guys through your own workout just for due diligence, so I do not buy that.
But why, what would be the point of not wanting people to come work out? Like, or is just everyone turning us down or something? I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure Castle wouldn't come here, but other than him, there's really no one that should be not working out for teams. I mean, Bronny not working out for teams, that's so dumb. Like, he's a borderline undraftable guy if it wasn't for the circumstance of maybe you get LeBron if you draft him. So, like, that guy is going to say I'm not working out. And then, this is my guy, but I cannot stand this Tory. I think it's stupid, and I think it just, to me, this shows a real lack of, I don't know what the right word is, competitiveness or just whatever. Like, Deron Holmes isn't working out for teams anymore because apparently he got a promise somewhere towards the end of the first round. Mm-hmm. It's like, so, okay, you got a promise in the mid-20s or something. You don't want to go try to get a better draft pick than that and show other teams that you could maybe be a fringe lottery pick or like late teens or something? It makes no sense, man. I don't understand why you would just stop working out because you got a late first round pick promise. Like,
I mean, maybe it's a good organization that he wants to go to and he feels like will develop him properly. He'll get the opportunity. Like, if New York might be losing Hartenstein this offseason and promises him and like he'll have a chance of getting minutes right away on a good team with a good point guard that'll make him look good, like, I can't blame him too much for shutting it down because he wants to play there.
But then New York re-signs Hartenstein, and they have Mitchell Robinson and Hartenstein in front of him, and he never plays.
I mean, listen, any place he goes, there's a chance he doesn't play, so it's more so situation. I
heard it was Denver that gave him the promise.
Yeah, I mean, Denver, Boston, like, there's some good teams down there that he might want to go to, and I couldn't really blame him for wanting to go there compared to maybe some teams that are higher. Because ultimately, like, yes, you're going to get paid a little bit more for going higher, but your second contract is what really matters, right? So, and side note, I did look up Ron Holland, Cody Williams, Matas Buzelis, and T.J. Solon is still playing, I think, so he wouldn't be working out. But those first three, I did not find a single article about them working out for anyone yet. So I believe for that seventh pick, it's more so players have not worked out yet. So
I thought I saw Buzelis worked out for someone.
I mean, he might have. I just looked at Google News, basically. So I guess it's just normally those top prospects, don't they start this process a little bit quicker? I don't know. I thought it would start a little bit quicker because a lot of these top prospects have wider draft ranges than the top of a draft, so therefore should be working out for more teams, therefore should be working out a little bit earlier, but who knows? We'll talk about it when it happens. Like I said, they'll probably start here any day now, working out some guys that are in the range of the seventh pick, and I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah.
But also with the case of Deron Holmes, it's not guaranteed that he lasts till the end of the first round either. So, like, I don't know, it just seems kind of weird. Another team could still take him.
Yeah, I mean, so somebody like that shutting it down because he has a promise, and I assume it's a place he wants to go to, which is why he shuts it down. I have a hard time, like, nitpicking him too much because it's like he wants what he wants. I'm not him. You know what I mean? Like, he wants what he wants for whatever reasons those might be, and I just try and, like, respect him, right? Like, he wants, some of it might be, I mean, I think I put myself in the shoes of a prospect. There's certain places I wouldn't want to live, right? I like the Northwest climate. I wouldn't like a desert climate. You know what I mean? Like, there's some places where guys probably just don't want to live. You're going to be living there if you're a first-round pick, potentially for the next 4 or 5 years. So there's a lot that goes into it for prospects. So if they shut it down because they get a promise from a place they want to be, I can't fault them too much, even if it's maybe a little bit lower than they otherwise could go if they worked out at some other places.
I don't even like that for the top guys, let alone a guy who I don't like guys trying to dictate where they're going when they're.
Is he dictating where he's going if a team told him, okay, we're going to pick you here?
No, I'm saying like so what? Like RGE James says maybe that team told him work out for it elsewhere and the guarantee is off. Like I don't.
It's also possible.
But why would I don't know.
I mean,
to me, I would say I would not like a contingent thing. I would be like, dude, if you like me, why are you scared of me working out elsewhere? Like, I understand you want me to be here.
Because if they like him, they probably think that he's going to impress other teams if they give him a promise, right?
Yeah, but then that should tell them that they're much higher. Possibly, they could shoot up higher than where you are.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you couldn't see there being a team at 20 that gives you a promise where it's like, okay, I want to go there, compared to like a team at 14 or 15 where it's like, I'd rather go 20th to that situation compared to 14th or 15th to a different situation.
Yeah, I understand if a team promises you, that's one thing. If you're on the board, we'll draft you here. One, they don't have to honor that promise. They could always
but it's
take
bad
someone
with
else.
agents. Is like, you give a prospect a word like that, you're screwing with somebody's like career, the start of their career, right? If you give them a promise, it should be honored.
Yeah, but like, what if I don't know, just weird example. Okay, let's just say at 3, Houston promises Buzelis or someone that they're going to take him if he's on the board. And then Donovan Clingan and Zachary Ricochet go 1-2.
I mean, you should be promising someone if there's somebody you would take ahead of him at 3. Like, that's just stupid, bad business. Like, right?
Well, maybe, but like people fall like Whitmore last year. Like, how could you?
I mean,
like if you're sitting there, like Miami, I'm pretty sure promised Taquez last year at 18, because he stopped working out. What happens if they're like, oh crap, Whitmore was like rated 5th on our board. We promised, thinking that there was no way he'd be on the board, and then he's on the board, and you're like, oh crap, do we take the better player or keep our promise?
Yeah, but I mean, we can argue whether or not teams should give promises or not. At the end of the day, you give a promise, right? So it's bad. It's a really bad look for an organization to give a promise and then go back on that promise. So I feel like this conversation is more so maybe organizations shouldn't give promises the way they give promises, but that's what they do.
Aren't you the guy who said that if you were a GM, you'd tell a team you weren't?
You're bringing up something from like 4 years ago?
I'm just saying, like...
And also, there was context behind it that I don't even know exactly what it was, but it wasn't quite that, so I just don't see the need to rehash something
I'm just saying,
neither of us remember. And also...
No, I remember what it was, the context.
I'm sure you don't. But also, 4 years ago, okay, is 4 years ago. People change in 4 years, Eric. So
okay, that's good.
Basically, the whole conversation is about, would you shut it down if you got a promise, or is it a bad look to shut it down if you get a promise? Correct? You don't think it looks good on Deron Holmes? I
don't necessarily think it looks bad on him. I don't understand the mindset of not wanting, because there is a lot of money between like 25th and 15th or something, like, and like Taylor said earlier, if their mindset right now is not just like I want to get in the league and do the best possible job I can, it's more like, oh, I want to live in this fun city, or like
I mean, everybody's gonna have preferences, and it's not just
exactly.
like it's not just about like, oh, I want to live in Portland because they have the most strip clubs per capita, and I just want to go to the strip club every night, right? Like, yes, that's a bad look. You don't want somebody coming into the league valuing how many strip clubs you have in your city. But when it's like basketball situations too, like that's ultimately gonna matter. The difference between like 16 and 30 is like 1.5 million. I don't think Holmes was gonna go in the lottery. Maybe he would have if he worked out. I don't know. But end of the day, like a lot of guys when they accept promises, it's because it's like near the top of their expected draft range, and if it's a situation they like. Who was the promises last year?
Well, I've seen Holmes. I mean, this is all mock drafts, but I've seen him in the teens in some mock drafts, and
he might have gotten promised in the teens. Who knows?
Yeah.
Because didn't Hawkes get promised? And yeah. So Hawkes got promised at 18. Really good situation for him. He looked good as a rookie, right? And that was like near the top of his expected range.
Well, he was like a second round guy. So like that. Yeah. To me, that's different.
I mean, he was in like some late first. I feel like he's pretty close to DaRon Holmes.
Yeah, he was not going any higher than that, most likely.
I mean, but that's the thing. Holmes might have gotten a promise.
I don't remember if he stopped working out or not, or if that was...
I mean, most guys, when they get a promise, they stop working out, because that's the only reason the promise gets talked about in the first place. It's like, oh, this guy's canceled all his workouts, so he has a promise.
There was someone late in the first that had a promise that didn't work out for any teams. He had like a promise really early on. I forget who it was. It was either last year or the year before.
In the teams?
Maybe someone in chat could. No, it was. He didn't go until like he was expected to be that fringe first, early second type player. I forget who it was.
It's vaguely familiar, but I also forget who it was.
From like the combine, he said he wasn't going to work out with any teams because he already.
Chat, if you can jog our memory, past couple of years, yeah, I do remember a situation like that. But I don't know. Like, without knowing the situation, without knowing how high the pick is, it's tough for me to hold it against him. You know, if he comes out here and gets drafted like 35th, then it's like, okay, well, why didn't you work out for other teams? Because you could have gotten a guaranteed contract, which if he has a promise from a team like 31, 32, whatever, then it probably comes with a fully guaranteed, or the first 2 years guaranteed contract, like a first round pick, right? And I mean, I don't know. There is a chance, I think a small chance, but there is a chance he falls to the second round and wouldn't get a guaranteed contract. So that might be a reason for accepting the promise, just because it comes with a guaranteed contract for the first couple of years. There's just so much that could go into why he might shut it down with a promise that is tough for me to judge him. You know, if he gets drafted in a certain place or doesn't get a contract with as much guaranteed money as I feel like he should get for accepting a promise, then, you know, I'll question, okay, why exactly did he accept the promise? That's just kind of how I view some of these promises. I don't think it's Portland that gave him the promise. I would have liked for him to work out for Portland. I would have liked for that. Did chat help us out? Was it Bilal?
No, this was like someone in the late. Dang it. Thank you.
I literally asked him nicely not to, but he can't listen. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, people are just naming former Blazers for some reason. It's not. Jalen Wilson? Maybe it was Jalen Wilson. I don't know.
Maybe it was Jalen Wilson. Because then he ended up going... Maybe it was Dalen Terry. No. Because some guys got promises, but this guy, it was like a late pick. Anyway, I don't know who it was. I also just got an interesting text that I can't really share. Okay, Eric. There's been a rumor that has popped up, including your Portland Trailblazers, and it's that they are interested in trading up for Donovan Clingan. Trading up. Not just waiting at 7, but trading up. Amongst a couple other teams. The other teams that were named were Memphis, and then I forgot the third one. Who's the third one?
Chicago.
So Chicago at 11, Memphis at 9, Portland at 7. 3 teams interested in trading up for Donovan Clingan. Do you believe this rumor? And if this rumor is true, how do you feel about it?
I believe the Blazers do have interest in Donovan Clingan. I think it'd be like the weirdest thing ever if they traded up in this draft. Like, considering what Travis Demers said about the team being somewhat relieved. I know you talked about this in your 5 storyline video. Go check that out after the show. It would just be really weird if they're relieved to get the pick and then they trade back up to the 3rd pick, which has, you have to pay more or whatever pick we traded up to. Now, maybe dumping salary is part of that, but I don't know. It seems odd that even if that was their intentions, like, why is it leaking that that's their intentions? And then on top of all that, you have DeAndre Ayton, who, like, is not the most mentally stable player, to say the least. And I'd be really concerned if that happened or this was true, what that would do to his mental state if we did not have a trade lined up for him already, which who knows if we did or didn't. So I don't know. To me, everything about it screams doesn't make sense. This has to be a smokescreen. And then you think about why would it be a smokescreen? And there's 2 things I can think of as to why the Blazers would want it out there that they're interested in Donovan Clingan. One would be they don't want Clingan to be the player out of the top 6 or 7 that falls to 7. So they're trying to convince someone to move up ahead of them, whether it's Memphis or Chicago or some other team, that if they want Clingan, you better jump Portland to get him, thus guaranteeing that one of their other 6 guys on the board, their draft board, would fall to 7 to them. And then they're like, okay, now we don't have to decide to take Clingan here at 7. Or the other scenario, which could happen, is if Clingan is on the board at 7, they have someone in mind that they think they could get at 9 or 11 or one of those other picks, maybe like a Cody Williams. And so that they're trying to convince those teams that they need to give Portland an additional asset or take on some salary so we can move back a couple spots, still get the guy we wanted to take anyway. And a team like Memphis that has the capability of possibly doing that. So if it's a smoke screen, I guess it would be for one of those 2 reasons, in my opinion. But man, it all comes back to me like this organization hasn't done a lot of logical things or had a plan or any sort of like I don't have any belief that they think these things thoroughly out before acting upon some of them. So, like, I could totally see them just being like, oh, yeah, we want Clingan, like, we need rim protection, and don't care about how he fits or what's going to happen with Ayton or any of that stuff. They're just kind of going to wing it if they get him and trade up and worry about their cap situation later and all this kind of stuff. Like, I don't understand what they do half the time. So I don't all this to say, I don't really know, Tori.
I don't think Clingan falls to 7. There's just too much noise about teams taking him above us. And he makes sense for Charlotte. He makes a ton of sense for Washington, where I could see a scenario where Washington isn't fully sold on Ricochet and wants Clingan and trades down to 4 with San Antonio, and San Antonio trades up from 4 to 2 to take Ricochet, right? Because if Ricochet falls past 2, then he's probably going 3 to Houston. Where with Sengun, is Houston going to be the team to take Clingan? Washington, if they want Clingan, can trade down a couple spots, get some assets. I don't know. But, dude, at this point, I wouldn't be shocked if Clingan goes 2 to Washington. There's just so much buzz that I feel like it's legitimate interest from Portland's end. And I feel like it's legitimate interest from Memphis's end. Detroit is a team I could see trading back. I think that Dalton Connect is a guy for them that makes a lot of sense, but do you want to take him at 5? If you can trade down to 9, you can probably get him at 9. Maybe San Antonio takes him at 8. I don't know. I just, knowing this organization, this feels like the type of thing that they would do. Just, and this is just like purely gut feeling. It feels like if they can use Brogdon to trade up from 7 to 3 to guarantee themselves Donovan Clingan, they'll do it. And basically, you're just sitting there like, okay, you really got nothing back for Clingan in my mind, because I don't think, sorry, I misspoke. You didn't get anything back for Brogdon. If you trade 7 in Brogdon for 3, you'd have to take back some filler salary. Because Clingan, I don't think, is a top 7 player in this draft. I just don't. He had foot issues, skill-wise, like he can pass a little bit, but he's not somebody you're going to really give the ball to. He's just a play finisher. Defensively, yes, he projects as a guy that should be a good rim protector, but can he be a great rim protector? The only way you take him top 7 is if you are very confident he can be a future top 5, 6 rim protector in the league, because he's not going to be a super switchable big man. He's not going to be a big man where a ton of his defensive value is, he's going to switch out and keep a point guard in front of him. I don't think he's completely cooked if he gets switched out onto a guard, but his defensive value comes in playing a lot of drop. He hopefully can play other schemes, but you're probably going to be playing a lot of drop with him. I don't like taking a big top 7 whose best defensive coverage is drop scheme. Because even the best drop bigs, with the way the guards are getting in today's league, they can shoot off the dribble so freaking well from 3, from mid-range. There's more space on the floor because you have more and more guys that can shoot. So you don't want your big having to guard a bunch of space in the mid-range and being put on an island and then, leaning forward when he's supposed to be running drop because he's scared of these elite guards in the league shooting pull-up jumpers. And then it's just one simple hezzy and a blow-by. And even Donovan Clingan ain't catching up to that if he's leaning forward because he's worried about a pull-up and one of these guards blows by him. So I just think there's a lot of question marks with him. He's gonna be a solid role player, but it's hard to be confident in him being like a true game changer. So I don't think he's a top 7 pick. So if you trade Brogdon hypothetically with 7 up to 3 with Houston, just to take a guy that I probably wouldn't take at 7, I'm going to be very disappointed in that. And there's going to be people out there saying, oh, look, this is why we kept Brogdon. This is why we held on to Brogdon. But I don't think we were not trading Brogdon at the deadline thinking about Donovan Clingan. And also, if Ayton is the guy that you have so much faith in, how does it signal to him that you have faith in him if you draft a center 7th?
And if you're planning on keeping Ayton and Clingan, you moved up for a backup center. That doesn't make sense either.
Exactly. And if you plan on playing Ayton and Clingan together, that's just stupid.
No.
But dude, they tried playing Robert Williams III and Ayton together this year. I could see them. I mean, just pure speculation. I could see a world in where they're sitting here thinking we can play Ayton at the 4 and Clingan at the 5. Because Ayton can shoot mid-range. I don't know. It's absurd. I hope that's not their plan. But it's very weird if they value Clingan this much, because that says to me they don't value Ayton long-term. Clingan can back him up for a year or two, but it's like, why are you keeping Ayton around in the first place if you're just going to let him walk when he's a free agent in 2 years? Because you invested a potential top 5 pick in Donovan Clingan.
Yeah, unless you have a trade lined up. But, I mean, it seems very unlikely that they're even looking at moving it right now, right? What teams would even... I don't know.
But the Clingan love from Portland's end makes no sense to me. From both the player not belonging in the top 5 and you got DeAndre Ayton.
Well, like, at least people are saying in chat, at least it's not a guard there.
Eric, I'd almost rather them be interested in a guard that could play either guard spot, because then you could talk about, okay, maybe down the line you got to trade Brogdon, but maybe down the line you trade Ant and you got your third guard. Mm-hmm. That's maybe, if they can fit and play both guard spots and guard both the guard spots, like, okay, maybe that's a better third guard complement behind Sharp and Scoot. I can see that argument more than, yeah, we love Ayton. Ayton's the prize of the Dame trade, and now we're going to draft somebody that can also only play center. That's probably never going to be a star, only going to be a role player. Just doesn't make sense. Does not make sense.
Yeah, well, see, to me, okay, and I am not saying that Scoot is going to be anywhere close to what Luka is. But if you project Scoot out, if you're trying to maximize him as the best possible point guard he can be, I think if you paired him with a super quick jumping lob target that not only can quickly jump and finish a lot of different angled lobs, but if you watch Derek Lively in particular, and Gafford's pretty close to this, they set a screen and get to the hoop in like a second. Like, they zoom from the 3-point line all the way down to the paint and get there really quickly. Clingan, I don't think, even though if he's around the rim can finish lobs, he doesn't have the speed and quickness to maneuver from a screen setting position all the way to the hoop in a quick enough fashion to really be as effective as a Lively is with Luka. And I think Scoot, if he's going to maximize his driving and stuff like that, either needs a big who can shoot threes, like a lot of threes, like a Porzingis type setter who does that, or you need to get him a lob target big who is very quick and is always around the rim, and he can just huck it up from wherever he's at like Luka does, and then you know that he's going to be there and finish and can develop some chemistry along the way, whatever. But to me, it's already kind of tough when you have Ayton always around the middle of the paint. That's always where he's camped out. So every time, or just about every time Scoot drives, you have Ayton somewhere around the free throw line or in that area. And so I think for me, I would want to see Scoot with a different prototype center than a center like Clingan or a center like Ayton ultimately. And then also on defense, none of these guards or point of attack defenders, maybe Kamara can be this way, but none of them have shown any capability of navigating screens. And if you're going to play drop coverage like we pretty much had to with Ayton a lot this year, it'd be even more so with Clingan, like you mentioned. We don't have any guards who can get through screens, so we're already screwed on defense scheme-wise because we can only play drop for the most part. And yeah, he could be the best rim protector in the league, but if we're constantly putting him in situations where he has to choose between a downhill attacker with the ball and guarding your guy who's ready for a lob if you leave him for a second, our defense is going to be near the bottom of the league.